TWM Podcast.
Hello, I am Matty Deller, and this is Best of the Rest, your Friday roundup of the odds and ends in your wrestling week. I'll introduce who's with me in just a few minutes' time. Before I do all of that, let me tell you, this is a TWM podcast, bringing you content 6 days a week, news, reviews, and interviews, available on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Acast, TuneIn, Podbean, and YouTube. If you've got us on YouTube, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and smash that like button so you do not miss a single bit of audio-visual content. We're brought to you by We Love Sport, a fantastic app that helps you check out and find out where the nearest WWE pay-per-views are. Obviously not at the current time, but they're doing loads of fun stuff over at their social media at We Love Sport UK and WeLoveSport.co. And also you can download the app anyway for when things are a bit better. You can use it. It's a fantastic app over the App Store and Google Play Store. Still going strong. WrestleCrate.co.uk. Use the code TWM Wrestling to get up to 3 free items in 3 boxes if you sign up for a monthly subscription. That's TWM Wrestling to WrestleCrate.co.uk. Joining me as we talk about Night 2 of Rebellion, Dark Side of the Ring, and Total Bellas, filling in for Kim this week, it's Kyle. Hello there, Kyle.
God, I feel like you just get me on now when you need someone in a rush.
I did have to break glass for emergency Kyle, because Kim was here and then suddenly got called in to real life job for a meeting and didn't have a chance to record, so I had to literally...
What was it, like 4:30 or something you messaged me?
Yeah, and I was like, Kyle, it's Friday, you know what I want, and your response was, oh, for fuck's sake, what do I need to watch? And I was like, this, and this. But luckily, we're going to have some fun, because we always have some fun when it's me and Kyle. We still have fun when it's me and Kim, but me and Kyle, it's a different kind of fun. Like, he brings up reality TV shows that I didn't know he was a part of. That sort of fun. But anyway, we got some fun stuff to talk about, and we got some wrestling. They're both fun, but in all fairness, Total Bellas and Dark Side of the Ring's more fun. So let's talk about Night 2 Rebellion, shall we? Impact's Rebellion Night 2, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't exactly a massive fan of last week's episode. They did have some good stuff. I was less of a fan of this one. It wasn't great. I would probably argue that the opening match is the best match of the show. There is something interesting on here. There's something that appeals to Kyle's interests later on, but there's not really much to talk about other than the opening match, which was a really, really good four-way between Chris Bay, Suicide, and Rohit Raju. There's a nice little funny moment where they all doing like a four-way standing switch, standard indie opening to a match, and they do this bit where the faces escape the standing switch and they just stand there and watch as Raju and Chris Bay just do standing switches for about 2 minutes. It's a usual multi-man madness, strike sequences, double submissions, flip-de-doos. They do loads of big moves and near falls. Trey jumps out of a suicide superplex. Here's a cheeky Nando's. Trey 1-9, Meteora. Rohit Raju tries to steal the pin, but Bay steals the steal by kicking him in the head and pinning Raju. Good match. Happy that Bay got a win, Kyle, but once again, the Rascals deserve better. They can only win apparently one match per show or pay-per-view, because Trey had to eat, well, not necessarily eat a pin, but not win this match when he could have easily.
We discussed this before, though. Like, we mentioned it the other week when I was on. You were shocked when Triple XL didn't get a win, when they were kind of like the new thing to be pushed. Chris Bay right now is the new thing to be pushed, and they're doing that. Yeah,
the thing is, though, also last week, Triple XL didn't win again. They were the odd team out in a multi-man match again. It was just very strange.
So at this point, you're like, well, why have they done this?
Yeah, why have they bothered to bring this? They've brought in a tag team to basically go, these big lads, they're useless. But anyway, we've got the married couple back on commentary, Josh and Madison Rain. But we do hear from Josh Matthews, who FaceTimed Tessa Blanchard, asking her about not being able to compete, and she basically goes through all the normal stuff. She wanted to be there, and she's training every day to come back stronger, and she said that she'd love to shut Michael Elgin up, but unless he comes to Mexico, he won't be walking out as champion. And then we go into Joseph P. Ryan over Cousin Jake. This was a match. It happened. It was basically Cousin Jake being a big, powerful, strong lad. Jake missed the shoulder charge. Ryan worked the shoulder. Then Jake used power to fight back. We get Jake running wild, and then Ryan pulls the shoulder, hits a super kick for a near fall. Jake counters a second super kick, but Ryan rolls him up with the ropes for the win. I don't mind the Dieners, but I've said this before, this cancel culture thing has kind of just ended before it started. Half because of the global situation, so they couldn't really elaborate on it because Rob Van Dam and Katie Forbes aren't there, so it's really on the back of Joseph P. Ryan. But secondly as well, it's almost as if they've half-assed this, because they could have gone all in with Ryan being the leader of this, but instead they've just gone, well, he's here, so we'll just have him wrestle the Dieners and have, even though they've not got a crowd, general apathy ensue.
For me, and this is going to sound really weird because I'm going to compare Impact to perhaps its other two major competitors. Like, we had the opener, which, like, as you've mentioned, was quite an indie-like style kind of, like, multi-man match, which you would probably see along the lines of AEW. But you look at this is something you would still see in WWE today, and it just feels like Impact don't, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Yeah,
I completely agree. It's just, it just fell flat. But then again, kind of the story of this whole with all this of this show is it just fell flat. However, this didn't, because we got more drunk Rosemary, which is genuinely a highlight of every show when they have Rosemary at a bar. But then again, it doesn't make any sense, because what bar is she at in this current day and age? Social distancing and all that. She's FaceTiming Taya at the bar about having to be in the Full Metal Mayhem match instead of Taya. Taya said she's going crazy and has started wearing sweatpants because she can't deal with not being outside. And Rosemary told her that Grace was replaced by Havoc so Taya could fight her, but Taya refused. They basically went this whole background story thing about how we end up going to Rosemary and Havoc, even though they joined forces all of about 3 weeks ago. But we're here, nonetheless.
The main takeaway from that, what I realised, is halfway through, Taya turns into Regina George when... this is really weird, but this is the kind of stuff you get when I've suddenly been asked to appear.
Mean Girls references.
Yeah, Mean Girls. Like, Taya suddenly turns into Regina because it's the whole moment of, like, she's suddenly wearing sweatpants.
She's having a breakdown,
because nothing else fits her. It's the mental breakdown.
Yes.
And it's all that fits her. So what the hell is happening with Taya during this crisis?
And then what's going to happen is, if we follow Mean Girls, and I've been watching it a long time, Taya
gets hit by a bus.
Yeah, that's how they said, Taya's going to get hit by a bus. That's exactly what... I wasn't going for the bit where Taya comes in and starts... Taya, then Dixie Carter turns up and asks who's been personally victimised by this person. No, Taya's going to get hit by a bus. That's how this is ending. Full Metal Mayhem, Rosemary over Havoc. This was a match where they had weapons and it was Rosemary and Havoc, so it was fine. I did like the start. Rosemary basically was like, let me win, and then we can both go after Jordan Grace together. Havoc says no, so Rosemary staples her in the hand, which seemed painful. Havoc then staples Rosemary like 14 times in the space of 10 seconds. We get some road signs, chairs, a chain. Havoc gets choked by Rosemary as Rosemary shouts out, how was it like to kill your own father? Havoc does a face wash into a trash can lid into Rosemary's face. We then see more plunder as someone stands by the ramp. And commentary nailed this. It's Nevaeh. We're going to explain who Nevaeh is in a minute.
I was so happy.
Nevaeh's there, and what I love about this, Josh is like, who is that? And then Madison Rayne is like, oh, I know who that is, but I don't know why she's here. And she goes, that's Nevaeh. And Josh is like, who's Nevaeh? And she's like, you don't need to know who Nevaeh is. It's just very worrying that she's here. Which was great, because, like, Madison's a veteran. She knows this stuff. It's almost as if that was her former tag team partner. Yeah, so then they go outside and Havoc gets a Samoan drop on the ramp and then yeets a trash can at Rosemary and she catches eyes with Nevaeh. We get a rough knee into a can into Rosemary, but then Rosemary finds a hard hat and blocks a trash can shot, which I've never seen before, but I want that to be a spot more often in wrestling. That someone...
It's unique, I'll give it that.
...blocks a weapon with health and safety. That should be a Chief Deputy Dunn gimmick, that he blocks weapon shots with a hard hat.
Brothers of Obstruction, they need to start doing that.
This is true. So we get a choke slam through some chairs. Havoc then chokes Rosemary, but then Rosemary hits Havoc with a pipe that looked plastic. It's not even like that it bounced when she threw it in the ring, so it was plastic. It was so shiny, it looked like a WWE action figure toy. It was just...
I don't know why I thought you were going to say it looks so shiny. It was like they wrapped it in tinfoil.
Yeah, it was. She hit her with tinfoil and then got hit by a bus. But yeah, Nevaeh. You like Nevaeh. Nevaeh's one of your favourites, so you were very happy about this.
I enjoyed a lot of Nevaeh stuff. I'm really happy to see her, well, getting this platform.
For those who don't know, Nevaeh is a veteran women's wrestler in Shimmer. She's been around a very long... She's been around since I started watching bits and bobs of Shimmer, and that was in 2004, 3, 4, something like that.
Wikipedia, the website that we all love to, like, follow, because absolutely nobody can edit that besides official people, wink, wink, says that she debuted in the wrestling world in 2004.
Yeah, so it'd been around that time, and she teams with Havoc now, and used to team with Madison Rayne, when Madison Rayne was a rookie in wrestling, and she's the wife of Jake Christ, not Dave Christ. Are you sure that's right? I swear that it was Dave Christ that she's the wife of.
The Wikipedia says it, so it is correct.
Anyway, so we then get an interview.
How far we report, we just listen to Wikipedia.
Yeah, Wikipedia and watch shows. Willie Mack and Rich Swann get interviewed about his win, and he talks about X Division champions of the past. Johnny Swinger interrupts him and then mugs him off. Michael Elgin then gets asked by the interviewer, who I found out is Ace Austin's girlfriend. So they were roping in people to help out, which is funny, like WWE have been doing. But their show, AEW, WWE have been firing people. Michael Elgin about his plans for the championship, and he says that he's going to become champion no matter what. And basically then he goes out to the ring and he says that Tessa and Eddie are scared of him. So he calls a referee and then threatens David Penza to announce him as the winner by forfeit and the new world champion. The lights go out. Moose is here, and he's got the TNA title. He's declaring himself the TNA champion. They both run down Eddie and Tessa because, shock of all shocks, they're both heels, so this makes sense. And now he says that he's the TNA champion. Elgin goes, I respect TNA, but this is Impact, so no one cares. And then he's about to attack him, and the match happens. Then Hernandez turns up, so it's a three-way in the main event for the TNA heavyweight title. Do you like this idea? Do you like the idea of and the Moose coming around saying that he's the TNA champion?
I'm just shocked that they still got the belt. When I saw this, I was like, who was the final to hold the TNA world title before it rebranded?
Switched over. Patron, I believe. It would have been Alberto El Patron.
Was that before it, was that during the GWF merge?
Yeah, that was just before GF, yeah, Global Force Gold paid for everything. I hope you like it, because apparently there's going to be more of it. Because one would assume what was meant to happen is that Moose is meant to win that King of the Mountain match for the TNA title at that special show over Mania weekend, and then he was meant to be going around saying that he's the TNA champion. However, that TNA on Access TV special we reviewed a few weeks ago got really good ratings, and apparently people are really interested in the TNA name. So, TNA as a concept is sticking around. So, I feel like this would go one of two ways. Either one, they're actually going to rename the company back to TNA, which would be the funniest thing ever. Or two, which I like, they're going to have a pre-recorded second show that's TNA.
What, like they used to have an Explosion?
Well, they still got Explosion now,
in Britain.
But they could easily have a if they wanted to, if Access want to pay the money for a second show, they could easily block record in Nashville or something. You can tell I've been watching a lot of the weekly pay-per-views on Impact Plus from 2005. They could bring in all the old guys with some new guys, so Eric Young, the Machine Guns, Ken Shamrock, Rhino, Raven. So Raven probably wouldn't wrestle, but you know what I mean. Bring in some of these old guys to perform and have a secondary show, but then have people float back and forth. So you've kind of got two brands, one's Impact, one's TNA, but people can kind of float back and forth. So you can make new stars. Impact can be about all the stars for the last few years, and then TNA can be that brand that everyone remembers. Just a thought. It's interesting.
I want to add to your original theory as well.
Yep.
Where you said that they could just go back to the TNA name. If you remember, if we take out the subtitle that they had of Cross the Line, it was TNA Impact. They're still going by Impact Wrestling, which they have been since, I want to say, 2011.
Yeah.
So all they could do is literally just be TNA Impact Wrestling, which is simple as that, because people still associate both. together.
But imagine,
You're not just like, Impact, that's not like...
After nearly a decade of trying to get rid of the LOL TNA thing, in the end, they just...
It's not going to happen. People have constantly associated it together.
They just embrace it and go back to being TNA. It'd be bizarre, but I personally would love it. So we get Moose over Elgin and Hernandez. This wasn't good. It was good for like 5 minutes when it was big men slapping meat and Elgin hitting flip dives and Moose doing his lovely big drop kick and doing these big man athletic techers. But then once that 5 minutes passes, Moose is gassed, Hernandez is gassed, but Elgin's fine. So basically it's just Elgin doing everything while Moose stands outside and Hernandez struggles through spots. It's dull. I stopped paying attention. Ref bumps. Moose spear for the win. This match died a death, and I was so disappointed because I was genuinely excited for Rebellion, but due to some dickhead eating a bat, the last 2 shows have been really boring.
It wasn't even my favourite Moose news from the entirety of the week.
We got Moose news. Moose news!
I'm sure I've mentioned it to you, like,
living in a hot tub 5 feet apart, because they're not moose.
No, you can't say that. That's my culture.
I know you love hot tubs.
I'm sure I've mentioned this to you off podcast. Like, for those who have seen Session Moth Martina and Jordan Devlin's...
Oh, yes. This story is brilliant.
Instagram Live earlier this week. Martina travelled with Moose from Germany, and Moose goes to her, so, who's this Jordan Devlin that I'm wrestling tonight? I heard he's just a shit Finn Balor.
I did hear that.
God. And it's great, because if you check out that match on OTT On Demand, it is actually quite a good match. And now we talk about Devlin more than we talk about Balor.
This is true. And that was Moose News.
TWM podcasts are brought to you by We Love Sport, the fantastic app finding you your nearest sports bar showing the latest WWE pay-per-views. We Love Sport has over 400 of the best sports bars and pubs in the UK at your fingertips and allows you to book front row seats, giving you the best views of the action. You can also check out what sports are being shown over the next 7 days, making sure you don't miss a second of the action. Download the We Love Sport app on the App Store or Google Play Store. Follow We Love Sport on all social media platforms at We Love Sport UK and check out welovesport.co.
The latest episode of Dark Side of the Ring surrounded around Dr. D, David Schultz, and the slap heard round the world. Were you aware of this whole situation beforehand?
I wasn't aware of this human. Remember, I was born in 96.
I know, but like it was on Botchamania, so a lot of people would know it just from Botchamania, to be honest. So I kind of knew this just through internet and stuff. But there's been a lot of other stuff to go through this. Like, it's a great insight into the art of the heel. And I learned a lot of stuff besides. Like, the first one, I didn't realise how big of a deal David Schultz was going to be in the WWF. He looks like he was meant to be, like, the big bad to go up against Hogan. It looked like, with this. We do see David Schultz modern day. I was surprised he was alive. But me and Carl both made the same agreement. A week apart, I wrote this down after I watched it, and then he texted me today about it. David Schultz modern day looks like anyone you'd see either on Storage Hunters or Doomsday Preppers.
Genuinely, I was waiting for someone to be like, open that crate, and then just start auctioning it off like they do on any episode of Storage Wars.
I will say this now, if you prefer Storage Hunters UK over Storage Hunters US, please stop listening to this podcast, because Storage Hunter UK is awful. Whereas Storage Hunters US is good.
Storage like Hunters UK.
It's terrible. It's, you know, when the UK try to do British versions of US reality TV, and it comes off more fake than the American stuff.
So Geordie Shore, yeah.
Geordie Shore. I hate Geordie. Love Jersey Shore. Hate Geordie Shore because it's just embarrassing. Storage Hunters UK is worse. Anyway, we learn a delightful insight into the training of David Schultz. His trainer Herb Welsh used to rub shit on himself and put people in headlocks, which is charming.
Some way JBL is wishing he had that.
I wish I thought that idea for Grandmaster Sexy Maggle, or Edge, or the Hardys. Anyone he bullied. We see promos of him basically abusing his wife and kids. A promo that was so real. Imagine wrestling being that real that a promo got the police involved. It was mad. Absolutely mad. And then also imagine wrestling being that important. People are actively trying to expose it.
But it's around that time period. I mean, like, I know it's like 80s, but like even a couple of years like after it, I say a couple, it's more like 10. We had the Pillman's Got a Gun incident where people run the police because they were worried for Steve Austin's life.
But like, I love all this stuff about how like all this stuff. This is like the British equivalent of Panorama running an expose on World of Sport not being real. It's brilliant.
You say that now, but what would you do if the World of Sport roster members all came up on Crime Watch as wanted faces?
What, 80s or now? Because either way, I would be, like, accurate, so...
Why not both?
You're telling me Crater's not...
Oh, wait, no, it can't be both, because half of them now work for NXT UK.
Yeah, you don't say Crater's involved in fraud, have a word. That's why he wears a mask. We find out about Eddie Mansfield, who is the OG David Starr. Healthcare for the boys! But he's not joined the postcode lottery yet. Well, we do find out that Mansfield is an idiot. Whether that makes him more or less like David Starr is your opinion. I ain't saying nothing. I'm not getting in an argument with him. Who says that he wanted healthcare and went to a guy who clearly was like, I just want us to know that wrestling's fake. And he's like, I shouldn't have really gone to him. I'm like, well, yeah, you're an idiot, because they basically mugged you off massively and made you expose the business. We then get to the WWE or WWF bit where Stossel goes backstage, and what I didn't realise about this is I thought they just went out to random wrestlers and started cutting interviews without like Vince's permission. Vince set up John Stossel like a fucking kipper to be like, I'm going to set him up and basically scare him out of doing the expose. When he sent Schultz out there, it was great. Absolutely
it's one of those things you see, and it is ruled by fear.
Yeah, it is like, I'm sending the guy out there that I know is going to put the fear of God into him. The other thing that I also noticed, I've not watched that thing in a while, it's not even that hard of a slap. He barely touches him.
Yeah, I mean, hang on.
Pussy-hole.
We'll bring this into like modern day wrestling again, currently.
Like,
we've all seen it going around, the slap that Apollo gives Andrade.
Yeah, there's that, but then also I'm thinking of other websites. I've seen on a YouTube video Will Ospreay chop a YouTube personality that Jobs, that is friends of ours, and that was like 5 times harder. Actually, we've been in person. Yes, you might not have been. Me and Mike were, when Matt Riddle and Jeff Cobb chopped 2 guys because it was their birthday, and it was so loud we could hear it across. We could hear it on the other side of the room, and I had Mark Haskins go to me, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "Oh, Cobb and Riddler slapping people." So it wasn't even that hard.
Doesn't shock me. That seems like a thing that would happen.
And then one of my favourite bits is he then has to go into hiding, and Japan sees that and goes, "Let's do that again," but Japanese, which made me laugh.
I've just realised, when you said, it's like from other websites, and it's all about like slapping, part of it sounds like you're going to go and talk about, like, I saw this on kink.com.
I saw this on Clips for Sale. Vince trying to shirk the blame, never. He's like, no, nothing to do with me, Gov, it was all him. Even though he didn't really ask him to hit him, but it was still, I love him just trying to shirk the blame. And then Stossel openly admits in this documentary that he basically bullshitted his way to get to a lawsuit. He was like, yeah, miraculously, when I got the money, my hearing came back. And I'm like, oh, you mess with the legal system. We then hear about how Schultz got fired. I thought he got fired straight after the slap. He didn't. Apparently, Mr. T turned up and he got fired for talking to Mr. T, but Hogan says that he went up and slapped him. But as we know, Hulk Hogan is a bastion of truth. Former Metallica guitarist, and known lover of all races, Hulk Hogan.
I just love how it was like the 2 peroxide blondes who get into like this weird like thing of like, okay, let's get rid of the one. Hogan, lie about it.
Yeah. Also, again, massive double standards, and this has happened in modern day wrestling. It's happened with Cena, with Reigns as well. Double standards in wrestling. Actually, no, probably more Randy Orton is a great one. Hulk Hogan did the exact same thing on a live talk show with Richard. I remember hearing about this one where he choked the guy out and he busted his head open. Did the exact same thing that Schultz did, but on live TV, and got away with it.
Vince wasn't going to get rid of Hogan.
I know, but it's one of those. It's just one of those things. It's the double standard. Technically, they're both employees or independent contractors, but they should be treated the same way. We find out that David Schultz is also a bounty hunter, because of course he is. However, I'm not going to lie. Did you catch the story of him catching the child abductor that he said at the end of the documentary? Because it generally made him sound like he should have his own TV show.
Again, Crime Watch.
But it's the fact that he's like, I found these two girls that were chained to a toilet and I saved them, and I followed him to Puerto Rico and went into this bar and slid over the bar and grabbed him. It's just, great. And then the end of this story basically is Vince sent someone out to rough someone up to keep kayfabe alive in the WWF, and then what does he do? Because he's gonna save him money, he lifts the veil anyway 3 years later. Vintage Vince McMahon.
Oh, God. So even back in the day, Vince McMahon was a cash cow, and lovely to see that has followed through into 2020.
It's not a cash cow, he's a cash fucking herd. He's just... Yeah.
He's buying more cows.
He's like, yeah, I'm going to hire and fire 50 people. Do I need to? No. I'm going to say it's because of uncertain times. The reality is to make sure my profit margins are up. Vintage Vince! I really liked this episode of Dark. Like, the Dino Brother one last week was good, but it wasn't one of the best. Brawl for All wasn't amazing. This was a return to form. I really liked this episode. What about you? Because obviously you've been dipping in and out of Dark Side of the Ring. So what did you think of this one?
I'm going to sound psychotic, but when I saw Dark Side of a Ring, the whole thing for me was I enjoy a lot more of like the ominous kind of things. I watch a lot of documentaries like this for the ominous because...
You want more true crime stuff, basically.
I like knowing about the crazy. This feels, well, like more what would happen on any redneck farm.
Yeah, but I like how it's padding out stories. It's like next week... They've got one that's very, like, I will say, if you want a bit of a primer before going into next week, they're doing on the UWF and Herb Abrams. Brian Zane's they did an amazing, like, a 15-minute video on the UWF. Watch that, because that will give you an amazing primer on what to go with next week. Because next week is going to be brilliant, because it's going to be the most 80s thing ever. I'm talking bright colours. I'm talking boatloads of cocaine. I'm talking owners going mental. It's gonna be great. I'm really excited for next week's. You can check out...
You're talking about Dark Side of a Ring now or Tiger King?
It's pretty much... Actually, if you like Tiger King, I guarantee you'll like the UWF one next week. There's no one being fed to tigers, but it's still good. Check out my article. I did, What We Learned from Dark Side of the Ring. People have been really enjoying my thoughts on it. Next week, Dan's back as he'll be looking at the UWF and Herb Abrams, and we'll be talking about that next Friday.
TWM Podcasts have joined forces with WrestleCrate, the original and best monthly theme, monthly wrestling subscription service to bring you a fantastic deal. If you use the code TWM Wrestling when you sign up to a monthly subscription at WrestleCrate.co.uk, you will receive a free item in your first month's box. Then, if you stay for another month, you'll get a second free item. And then, if you stay for a third month, you guessed it, we'll give you a third free item. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. WrestleCrate brings you the best swag from the biggest companies and names in the wrestling world. We're talking t-shirts, photos, pins, DVDs, vinyl figures, and loads more from WWE, Progress, Shakara, NXT, Fight Club Pro, and loads more. That's WrestleCrate.co.uk and use the code TWM Wrestling for up to free items, all thanks to WrestleCrate and TWM.
It's Bella time, as we open with a recap of Artem being cut from Dancing with the Stars, clips from the Bella twins retiring on Total Divas, which I had to explain to you wasn't from last week's episode, Brie and Brian's issues, Nikki and Artem's issues, and Nikki apparently is going to get a job on WWE backstage. We open with the thing that Kyle sent me with several question marks on Instagram yesterday, which was Artem dressed like Nikki Bella, which is terrifying.
Yeah, everyone else has done it.
Let's list the people that have dressed like Nikki Bella. Artem.
Tyler Breeze.
Maurice.
Brie herself.
Brie. Has Carmella done it on her? No, Carmella is going to do it on her Instagram, because I saw a shot of it on her Instagram. So there's 4. So in your opinion, who is the better Nikki Bella? Is it Artem? Is it Tyler Breeze? Is it Brie Bella? Or is it Nikki Bella herself? Which one would you pick?
Well, for pure dedication to the character, for perhaps probably method acting, it's got to be Breezy, hasn't it?
I would say Maurice purely for that the thing of Total Bellas where she was like, Jan. It's genuinely one of the funniest things. I might have to put that in the description thing, the picture of the video of Maurice and Miz pretending to be Cena and Nikki Bella. It's funny. Brie, Nikki and Artem go for dinner, and there's a lot of PDA from Nikki and Artem. And Brie is Mizog, mainly because Brian and Brie's relationship has stalled. We then see Nikki's going to the doctors, and she's getting her neck checked, and she misses being around the ring. So she's like, maybe I could be a manager or a GM. No, because they see Dr. Uribe, I don't know how you say his name.
Words are hard.
Who is that friendly with their doctor? They are very overly friendly with their doctor.
Is it an American thing? Because, like, there's no way that anyone over here would do that.
Yeah, I don't go and hug my... I'm like, hey, Dr. So-and-so, here, hey, take a look at this wart. It's like, no.
The only people I've seen be that friendly with their doctors are the people on botch for plastic surgery.
Or fake doctor. That as well. They look at her neck, and it's bollocks. They literally say, one bad move, and you'll be paralysed. So, that's a big yikes from me.
We saw what happened for Edge. Give her 9 years.
Yeah, she'll be back in 9 years for the Women's Rumble. With a beard. Oh god, it's Natalya. I thought I was safe. But apparently I've got to deal with Natalya on here as well.
Hey, she made a lovely cameo this week, though.
Brie and Natty talk about SmackDown, and they say Nikki isn't going to SmackDown because of her neck, and they plan to catch up and basically her to use TJ to show life after wrestling is fine via a podcast. They miss her smell. That seems very weird to say to someone, I miss your smell.
Well, seeing as we reviewed Total Divas before, the only thing I can imagine Natalya smelling of is peanut butter. That one scene.
Oh, smelling of peanut butter and the disdain of Sonya Deville. Nikki feels better after Natalya's words, and she's saying that she's going to SmackDown. Nikki and Artem go out to make a vision board. I say Nikki and Artem. Nikki is making Artem do a vision board because... well, Nikki's a go-getter and Artem is just not. So Nikki's trying to sort out his life, and Artem, literally Kyle, could not give less of a shit.
No, and we've left out that, like, Nikki even gets Brie involved in doing this. Like, every single time Nikki's making an executive decision, Brie's doubting doing the whole things of this. But every single thing that Nikki's putting on this board, Brie's like, oh, do you really want that picture on there? It's like, oh... do you want there to be a blonde on there? No, make it a brunette. That way it looks like me. Put Brad Pitt on there because he looks like Brad Pitt. I was like, what is this? This
is brilliant. Because they talk about him like he's on job seekers allowance. I'm like, he has a job. He's on Total Bellas. He's getting paid for this.
Can you imagine if they went to the Apprentice, like, with Artem's vision board? No, what's the American Dragon's Den? Shark Tank, isn't it?
Yeah, Shark Tank. I'm here to sell you Artem Chigrinsky.
Artem Chigrinsky.
It's just
I watched Strictly before.
What I love about this is now it's starting to make me wonder whether Artem's on a 0 hours contract with Total Bellas. It's like he's
oh my god, he gets paid per appearance.
He's on that Sports Direct deal.
Tell him to ask David Starr because he could go for being independent.
He could join the postcode lottery. Bellas do a health magazine shoot in a lot of denim, full on Bewitched vibes going on from Nikki and Brie. Nikki Bella makes Artem a vision board. I'm sure this will go well. The Nikki is planning his own future. It's not as if Artem has been an independent dancer for nearly a decade, you fucking maniac.
Oh, God. Well, he's always got, like, the dance career to come up with. And I still can't believe that during that Bella photo shoot, I recognised the fucking photographer.
Oh, no, you texted me, is this photographer? And I'm like, I don't know who photographers are.
No, from watching America's Next Top Model, I recognised the voice, and I was like, that's Yusai. So immediately checked Instagram, and Yusai posted the cover, like, 4 months before this episode was aired.
American Next Top Model has Tyra Banks on it, and she shouted at a lady once. I've seen that on the internet.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
I know, I don't watch.
No, wait, hang on, they did 2 cycles every year. What's 20 divided by 2?
10.
I'm not good at maths. It's been a
you
day.
Really just are. Anyway, I don't normally talk about the flash forward before they cut to break, but whoever edited it to the clip of Nikki showing the vision board and then a jump cut to Brian just pissing himself laughing.
That was great.
Here's your vision board, RM. Just killed me. Brie, Brian, and Birdie are at the park, and they ride the teeter-tot together, and they bring up PDA, and Brian literally gives the mum line, which is, "You always on your damn phone!" And they talk about how Artem grabs Nikki's boob, and then Brian gives the line of the season. We had the moment of the season last week? Yeah, last week, where Nikki skirted underneath her mum's hug to go hug Artem in the funniest gif ever. This one is just Brian turning deadpan to Brie going, "Maybe I should do PDA in front of these kids. That'll be fine."
What me realises, what would the E-Network have done if Brian just suddenly grabbed Brie's tits?
Just lawyers just immediately descend on that park.
Are you sure? Because the Kardashians are on this network.
Lawyers immediately descend. We then cut back to the house as Artem dips Birdie, as Bellas and Brian just shout "dip" over and over again, and Brian is thinking, maybe this could be my new catchphrase. This is...
Sorry, I've just got the image of like Brian coming
Dip!
up instead of doing
Dip!
the S, and it's dip.
It's him teaming
I
with...
would fucking scream.
Him teaming with Fandango, that's what they're doing. Dip! Dip! So Nikki presents her vision board, and this is all about just watching Brian and Brie being the judgmental couple on the side, because Brian's face is just like, this is going to go so wrong, and I'm so... he's so excited.
It's so fourth wall as well. They are basically the audience. They are giving all of our reaction.
He is this close to doing a Jim from The Office, just turning to the camera and making the face of, this is going to go horribly. Nikki reveals Artem's vision board, and Artem is awkward, and Brian just literally says, "This is weird." And it is... You've lost your damn mind, Nikki. You're basically going, here, I've planned out your future. You have no say in this. This is what you're doing. Artem is comfortable with the way he is. He's independent, and Nikki doesn't understand it. And literally everyone says, "Nah, this ain't it, Chief." And Brie and Brian just dig the hole further by going, "This was embarrassing, Nikki." I love the fact that Brie does that all the time. She's just... Something goes horribly wrong, and whatever one it is, the other sister just goes, "Yeah, that's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?" Not being helpful. Just sticking the knife in even further.
But it's even funnier, because, throughout all of this, Brie was, just willingly helping.
Yeah, I'm going to make you make the bad decision, and then laugh at it afterwards. We then see that the Bellas go birdie shopping, and we hear that Brie and Brian are having a mare in the hotel. She wants to get business stuff done, but she also has a family. Brie is stressed. This marriage isn't working. They're not even on the same page. They're not even reading the same damn book.
I wanted the mum chair, though. Apparently...
Oh, that was a lovely chair, yeah.
It's a recliner, which Nikki lovingly coined the mom chair.
Yeah. And then one of my favourite things, because it's just brilliant, they both sit down, and Nikki just goes, "Oh, thank God for birth control. Can you say foreshadowing?"
Oh, it's almost as if this wasn't pre-taped.
Lol. The Bellas then go to see their friend Kristen's store opening, and Mum's there. Nikki gets an audition for WWE backstage. Brie didn't get an invite, and Mum says, "Yes, probably because you got a daughter." Helpful, Mum. Really fucking helpful. It's her fault. I told you to put her up for adoption. And Nikki's pissed off. By the way, Mummy Bella did not say to put Birdie up for adoption. That would have been funny. I told you to leave her outside and let the sea take care of her.
We've seen this, though. Literally, Mother Bella just pipes in with the thing that you do not want to hear in the moment.
She doesn't help.
You can be having a shitter day, and she will just come in with more shit.
She's little...
Crap on crap on crap.
No, she's, little Kris Jenner. Because she just comes in with the worst thing at the worst possible time.
True.
Nikki goes for a WWE backstage audition and does all right. I'm shocked she's not been on it. I thought she was really good. So she basically turns around and says Seth's better as a heel. So she speaks the truth. Maybe that's why they're like, "Yeah, you're too much of an internet mark."
Did you see the promo that she cut, though, to, the hateful tweet?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
I lost my shit. Next time, at me. Wow,
at me, you coward.
Too relatable.
I'm just now loving, she said, Seth's better as a heel. It would be brilliant if all the stuff cut out was basically her just being a massive internet mark. She's like, no, but personally... She's like, "Who do you think's the best wrestler in the world?" She's like, "Well, I personally think it's Kenny Omega." And they're like, cut!
She's a millennial WWE fan. I live for
brilliant.
that.
She's like, "I spend most of my time on TEW." all she's doing, she hasn't got a business. She's got a really, really good shimmer save going on TEW.
Maybe that's her vision board. She's just like, okay, we are going to download TEW 2020 when it comes out, and this is going to be our promotion.
We're going to run a promotion with it. Artem and Nikki talk about his career, and Artem explains that he grew up a realist and he's independent, and Nikki kind of gets it, and like she needs to stop begging it. And they're basically, it's all going well with Nikki and Artem. Artem might be farting, it might be the chair, we don't know. Is everything going well with Brie and Brian? No.
No.
Awkward car journey.
That's all you need to know, it's just not.
Brie brings up the idea of, I'm going to stay in LA, you take the kids back so I can work on my business stuff. This is after she's moaned that they don't spend enough time together as a couple and are not affectionate. So she goes, Brian, you go home, I'm going to stay here for business stuff. Brian is pissed, and he has a point. I'm completely on side with Brian here, but it might be because I'm a man. Normally I have Kim here, and you're the closest thing to a woman I've got on this microphone. Is Brian in the right here?
Well, you said Artem's a realist like a minute ago. When I was watching this, I was like, Brian is like the most real character on this. He's very much like, oh, you said like you want it this way, but then you're saying now you want this to happen, and you can't have both.
It is, because if you kind of look at their, because I didn't watch Total Bellas the last few seasons. This is the first thing I've really watched, but I've seen clips. You see it on YouTube, you see it on social media, and when her and Brian got together, you could really tell Nikki was like the city girl, Brie was like the hippie. Brie was a massive hippie when she got with Brian, and that's why they got together. And now she's had the kid, and almost you could say that like Brie's kind of sold out to herself, because she's become basically mini Nikki, because now she's all focused on business stuff. And
she's me Nikki.
Yeah, she's been Nikki. And then like, yeah, she has a point, because Brie just goes, we're not coupley enough, and she's like, oh, by the way, you're going away for 7 days and 3 days, but the 3 days we've got, I'm going to spend in LA, so I'm not going to see you. So we won't see each other for 10 days, but can you please be more affectionate and make more time for me? And then basically Brian cuts a really valid promo, and Brie goes and Brie does what is known as the JJ technique, which we found out last week and the week before.
It's fucking bailing.
Is immediately going on the defensive. And Brie's like, oh, by 40, I'll be less busy. So she's like, just wait 5 years of this loveless marriage, and then I'll be less busy. However, Brie does make a very good point. Things have changed. They want different things. And Brie Brian just goes, to make your life easier, I'm going home. And that was uncomfortable to watch. I don't think they're very happy, and it does worry me, because this just seems like we're going to finish this season and we're going to find out they've been separated. It's going to upset me tremendously.
No, it just feels like really strange for these two as well, because they've been such a solid unit, like, for so long now. It's
bizarre, because as much as going back to the ring was like the best thing that could happen to Daniel Bryan,
it's the worst thing that could have happened
to their relationship, because now Brie's on her own, and Brie doesn't want to be on her own, but she can't exactly be a road wife with Bryan because they've got the kid. Yeah.
But it was mentioned, like, while they were talking about it, he said that he would have taken a contract with a lot less dates for, like, them to spend, like, less time together. We haven't talked about this. But Brie was the one who pushed for him to basically go back full-time rather than part.
Yeah, which is an interesting insight that I did not know of, that she'd push him to do more dates. So
would you say that this is all on her? Because everything that, like, she's trying to do, she's made him happy by his in-ring return. But, like, now that it's affecting her happiness, she's regretting it and is offloading it. She's offloading it all onto him. She's being
for it. I would say she's being very validly selfish. She's being selfish, but she's got valid points.
The majority of
she's brought it on
to do that.
She's brought it up because this also sounds like that maybe he wasn't going to come back to WWE if it wasn't for Brie. Maybe he was. She's like, I had other options, so maybe he was going to get himself cleared. In hindsight, he would have been fine to get himself cleared, and maybe he was going to do the independent thing, which maybe would have been...
It would have freed him up a lot more. He could have taken bookings as he wanted, rather than constantly having to be on the road.
It's an interesting one. I feel like we're going to get more of it as we're going on, because the Bellas are at SmackDown. They see Hogan. No. We see Mandy and Sonya, and we see Becky. And I forgot that Becky wore the power suit to the Fox premiere thing.
Becky looked like the perhaps most executive lesbian without actively being one, and I lived for it.
Come into the ring, the executive lesbian.
That would have been an Attitude Era gimmick.
It would have been. If Vince McMahon was a woman, that would have been his gimmick. We then see Brian and Brie have an awkward chat backstage as Brian wonders if this relationship is going to work out in the long run. A rough end. Is it going to get any better next week? No, because Artem and Nikki are going to have a drunken argument.
Why does it always feel like the closer we get to the halfway points, like mid-season, for every single season of Total Bellas or Total Divas, this is where the drama kicks off, and it feels like nothing's going to have a happy ending.
They kick off with massive drama and then take a 4-week hiatus before they do the second half of the season. And it's like, no, but it's booked like WWE. This is where the heel gets all the heat now. We only get the shine in the second half. So Do you know
what's going to happen, though, at the end of a series? Probably, this is just a spoiler based on how much WWE reality TV. They'll just have a fucking group trip to Cabo or somewhere.
It will be. There's going to be a big family vacation, and all the problems will actually get aired out over those 3 episodes, like it did.
It's weird, because do you know what happens on the E! Network? Holidays, boozing, and relapses, I was going to say. That's not what happens. Relapses don't happen. Response and regrets happen.
I thought it was a TV show you were saying. I thought it was a TV show you were saying it was on E, which is Holidays. I thought that was like the American version of Sun, Sex and Suspicious Parents. Booze, holidays and relapses.
Seriously, though, if you're tuning into this, don't tune into the E! Network for relapses. Turn into Maury Povich.
They also have impressive gymnastics. If you're missing sport, just watch anyone announce they're not the father. If you want to get in touch with us, you can get in touch with us at Booze, Holidays and at TWM Wrestle on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram, Google and Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Acast, Podbean, YouTube, all that good stuff. TWM.news, we've got loads of fun stuff. We've got some fun interviews up as well. You can go read an interview from Chelsea Green. We've got an interview with the Defy World Champion out tonight. We've got a nice little deal going on with some cool interviews coming up in the near future, and some fun stuff. Besides, Kyle, social media.
No, because I changed it and it's stupid.
Oh, I remember. Just search Kyle James, it'll come up. He's got a name that's an inside joke. It's like Mike's changed his, and so he can't give it out anymore. I've got to tag you on Twitter.
Oh shit, yeah, that's going to be weird.
Yeah, great.
I can't wait to see that.
I'm a Matty ID. We're at TWM Wrestle. I'm sorry for the tweet that's going to go out later. I guarantee I'm going to get an angry WhatsApp message from Adam going, "Who is this person and why have you tagged them?" This has been Best of the Rest. Stay safe, wash your hands, and don't relapse. No, that's a really weird way to end the show. You know what I mean? Bye.
I can't believe you just said that.